Ground Zero up against Direwolves. Let's start looking at these two teams because Max, Skim, you gave us those new champs, some crazy builds, well, not so much crazy, but some enjoyable builds that we'd love to see. And Ground Zero both had players that you were like, hey, they could be picking up what I'm putting down here. So tell me some more about this Ground Zero and how they've been shaping up over this split, Skimmy.
Well, in terms of Ground Zero, they've been the only team that have been able to take a game away from Bliss, the league leaders, that have looked in pretty strong form. So certainly a team to keep your eye on. It filled with a lot of talent, be it international and those that spent time together. Obviously, Kisse at one point in time would have been the best mid laner in the league. Obviously, with the reintroduction of likes of Roma and Hayre, he's been a little bit more challenged this time around. But Limus and Benvi, impeccable bot lane duo, spent time together already, then came back, and this is their second time on a team together. And you're really looking to try and see what they can do to try and innovate things. Here's a prime example of just that, right? We got treated with a game of ADTF as well as Alistair in the bot lane. And whilst Limus certainly did pop off, he entertained in more ways than one, sometimes with some very creative Destiny ults in. So they'll be looking for a little bit of stability after this performance, because whilst it was a 2-0, this was an absolute bloodbath, right? 40 minutes, like 100 different kills, backdoors like you see right here. So hopefully they've had a chance to cool down. The adrenaline has finally cleared from their system, and they're ready to come in today and, yeah, I suppose extinguish the fire, which is this sort of Direwolves miracle run.
Yeah, honestly, Skimmy, can I just jump in there for a second? Because I don't know if you use your accent or you meant to say it, but entertained, like with an I, like entertained is exactly how I would describe Ground Zero. All across the board, they're fantastic, but boy, do they grief sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys really undersold that Ground Zero Fury series to me, by the way. I asked for the TLDR yesterday, completely undersold it. Anyway, we'll come back to it because right now we're looking at the...
There you go.
It was crazy. We're looking at the Direwolves roster here. Maybe not their faces, but at least the names of all the players. We saw them play yesterday. They're going to have to do it again today, Max. I'm not sure if this team is that team that's able to adapt really quickly and make those changes in such a short amount of time. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong here.
It really hasn't seemed like it though, Nat. They have seemed like obviously playing a bunch of games back to back to back can be tiring, but it really seems like they have the same issues over and over again. And this is a team who on paper look a lot better than they've actually been playing. I think it's been a big letdown, especially from their solo lanes. In terms of their consistency, it feels like always in these games they're getting picked on, whether it be, you know, just losing lane, whether it be going for solo kills and them going against you. And that results in Katsuri kind of having to save the house that's on fire. Lisa trying to get there as well, but ultimately this is a team who really needs to stable up, and really this is their only chance, their last chance to get those wins on the board.
Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a divided team. You know, I don't like no speculations or anything, but just when I see them play, there just isn't that cohesion on where they want to go, exactly what they want to do. And sometimes, Skim, even in draft, I'm a little bit curious about what Direwolves are trying to pull together for themselves. Yeah,
look, we're pretty critical about their drafting last night, right? Sort of counterpicking themselves in multiple different areas when champions have been displayed and saying, you know what, I'm still going to elect for this anyway. You know, you mentioned the lack of speculation. All we can hope for is that there's, you know, there's more to it rather than just saying there's champion pool depth issues. Yeah. Because it seemed a little bit confusing at times to say that you've elected for this, and then you find yourself in a situation, go, how did this happen? And you know, in certain cases, it certainly can be a case of saying, oh, that's a cop-out answer, blaming on draft, but it certainly wasn't making the game easy for themselves, that's for sure.
Yeah, you never want to say draft it, but sometimes it is there. Let's go ahead and have a look at our bot lane head-to-head between these two teams, because they're both big... How do I want to say this? It's just like they're not necessarily the stars of each lineup, but they're both people or lanes that are able to just make or break some of the games for these two teams, Max.
Honestly, I think Katsuri definitely is the star for Direwolves. He's been the last... I mean, say this, I know every single broadcast and every single time we talk about Direwolves, but he is the only consistent performer on this team, right? You can see there from his stats, damage share 28%. He has a decent KDA, which honestly, on a team that's losing as much as Direwolves is a very hard feat to maintain. And then conversely, you have Limus, who has honestly just taken off this split, paired back with Benvi. They're very willing to bust out unique picks like we saw with that Twisted Fate, and he has been having a tear. You can see they're averaging almost 7 kills a game there with 24% damage. So yeah, I would say Limus, whilst he's not the sole star, definitely is a big contributor for Ground Zero.
Yeah, they have some fantastic stats from both of them. Like when you compare this, Skim, you wouldn't expect Direwolves to have they won one game? Yeah, they have 1 point for themselves, so they've only won one game, because Katsuri does genuinely have good stats.
Well, he has really good stats. It's just really surprising just how good Maximize is at AD carry. I mean, that's the thing that really confuses me the most, right? Because here I am thinking, you know, Lee Sin, Riven, Camille, but he's just busting out Lucian, Varus, and Aphelios in that bot lane. So, hands off to you, mate.
Have you ever seen me and Katsuri in the same room? That's all I'm saying.
True. There's the conspiracy.
LCO conspiracy theory for today. Right now, though, let's have a chat with our players. We got Lemus. He's going to be joining us here. Hey, Lemus, how have you been these last couple of weeks?
Hey, what's up? It's been a while. Yeah, I've been alright. It's nice to see you all again, and I'm ready to play some League of Legends.
Well, maybe not right now. We want to have a bit of a chat to you because that Fury series, okay, I personally missed it. I went back and had a look at it, though. You knew I was going to ask about this. First of all, I want you to summarize it from your point of view because Max and Skibby did not do a good job to me about it.
Oh my god. Where do I even start, man? Holy moly. Well, first thing in the draft, I just really wanted to play TF that day. Because I was always playing like these meta champions, Varus, Kalista, Xayah, every game. I wanted to have some fun for once in my life. So I told my coach I'm playing TF, like, no matter what, I locked it in. The game got a bit, like, let's just say, spicy, to say the least. And then I just decided to, like, fully embrace it and unleashed.
I like it. That's probably one of the best explanations of reasonings possible. Do you think with this new patch that you're going to get to explore some new champions for yourself as well? Do you think the meta has just shifted for bot lane entirely? Or do you think maybe let's go back to the comfort zone?
100%. I think this patch there are like 2 or 3 more ADCs that I think are really strong alongside the ones that have already been strong for a while. So I think it's a lot more spicy. Like there are a lot more picks to play, like, and I think that like the new champions play like in different styles as well. So you can play like different styles with different champions. So I'm finding a lot of fun playing new champions. I also like just playing new champions and stuff because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like at the end of the day, I'm like an entertainer, right? So I like entertaining the fans while I play.
Yeah, I mean, you're always entertaining us with these interviews as well. Max, I know that you have a question you really want to ask Lemus.
Look, I actually got asked to ask you a question from Benvi. He has since rescinded that question. I'm not allowed to ask you the question anymore. So I'm just going to go off something that I was thinking before, and that's a boring one, but how are you matching up against Katsuri? Because he has been like the only standout player here on the Direwolves. Everyone else has kind of been a bit all over the shop, but he has been consistent.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, I do respect Katsuri as an ADC. I think it's really hard to remain stable, like playing that role in a team where like your team is just like funky fighting everywhere and playing very unstably and very chaotically. So considering that he's still able to like remain stable and do his role for the most part, I think is really impressive. Yeah, so I think I'm looking forward to actually playing versus him. I think he's one of the better ADCs in the league.
Look forward to the matchup.
And Skim?
Look, Lemus, you mentioned you love entertaining the fans. I love to be entertained as a caster and actually, you know, showcase new stuff. Obviously, you go to the ADTF and that was absolutely hectic. But can we take it one step further? Obviously, you had a fantastic Valentine's Day playing Smolder. Is it time to bust out the dragon in the LCO tonight?
Look, bro, all I'm going to say is I've been spamming Smolder and solo queue. I'm not going to say how strong I think it is, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like looking to play new stuff, as I said. So expect Smolder, expect TF, expect something even more. And yeah, just enjoy it.
So we're just praying basically for Varus and Kalista bans. So you had to tell your coach, oh, what a shame. It has to be played. Yeah. Pray.
All right, Lemus, we really appreciate it. Love the entertainment in the chat as always. Good luck today.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya. I feel like we got to get Lemus on the pre-match more often so that we can just ask him to talk about the previous series and then also the one coming up. We could just get a 2-for-1-er when we interview Lemus now.
It looked like you really broke him with that question, to be honest. Like, he looked very defeated and drained the second you asked him to tell you about that Fury series.
That was the most animated I've ever seen Lemus in an interview. That, like, that man, that was just raw emotion. I don't think he even realized that he was showing us that much emotion in the interview. He was, yeah, it was good. I liked the answer, though, from him. And Skim, you might get exactly what you wanted. We got baited yesterday.
All I'm going to say is I feel like Lemus is on one right now because every single time we've seen him, he's wearing up the button-up shirt. He's like, he's ready for this 9 to 5, you know, at the keyboard, typing away, you know, filling those data sheets. He's wearing the gaming shirt today, guys. He's wearing the Grand Zero representation. He's got that, what is it, Lemus 10 on their own code shop. I don't know if it's true, fake news maybe, but either way, he's looking keen and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I really hope it's not another bait like we had with yesterday's series, because yesterday we also had interviewees that hinted towards some potential enjoyable new picks coming out. But Dire Wolves, they're a team that need to find that stability. And do you think, in the weirdest way, Max, the logic is that you can find stability in new champions?
I mean, if that's what they need to change it up and to really break the funk that they've been having, it could be, right?
Yeah.
I think we've seen a fair bit of experimentation already from them up towards the top lane. We've seen Riven, we've seen Uria, we've seen a bunch of different stuff. Katsuri, you know, we mentioned the center yesterday, not really the greatest look for him because we like him on those 1v9 hyper carries, but I like the fact that they're branching out, right? When you are kind of stuck in this, oh, we're not having the greatest time as a team, every game's not really going our way, sometimes going just completely left of field can kind of give you that restart that you need.
Yeah, well, let's bring Katsuri in here. He's got to, you know, give his 2 cents as well in this upcoming matchup. Katsuri, how are you and the team feeling to be playing second day this week and now up against Ground Zero?
Honestly, yeah, after yesterday's performance, we're still fine. Like, you know, boys still happy to play. There's still hope. Like, I believe we can still make playoffs if we win every single game from now. So, yeah, as long as there's hope, the boys are still, you know, hyped.
Yeah, there's still a chance. Like I said, just as simple as winning every game from here on out. We've been talking about this new patch a lot. Obviously, there's a new champion that's been enabled. But do you think that this patch, not necessarily so much the champions, but do you think that it's going to be able to enable you a little bit more on Direwolves or even just the Direwolves roster?
I think it enabled me, yeah. I always like when new champions are brought into meta because I usually end up like picking them a lot. So honestly, I'm comfortable when there's like a lot more champion diversity in the meta. So yeah.
Yeah. And how would you say the roster is, or you guys as a team, is able to bounce back from the loss yesterday and maybe make some quick adjustments for the series today?
Alright, so before the games well, before like we play our games, right, the first thing I did was like look at our previous games and like look at why we were winning. Because like yesterday was such a big flip from like what we had in some previous games. So we're just gonna go back to what worked, you know, might go back into like some comfort or whatever. But I just went back through the games like, oh, so this is what worked. And yeah, we do look good against some good teams as well. So like it's like just looking back at like the good times we had, this is gonna give us more confidence.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like the scoreline doesn't always reflect how close a game really is. But Skim, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, look, Rob, mate, really excited to see you boys play again tonight, but in particular yourself, because I want to ask, I literally just asked Lemus before, are you going to give something entertaining, some new champions, perhaps like Smolder, for example? Also, I know you're very proficient on the likes of Kaiser and Ezreal, so are these champions that can sort of break the mold of this Varus Kalista spam?
I can't say too much since we're about to play, and he's probably watching, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm known for talking too much, so I won't talk too much, but yeah, I'm probably going to make bot lane a bit more volatile today, so expect that.
Nice. We like that.
Yeah.
And Max?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that volatility in the bot lane. But look, I wanted to get your opinion on how you're feeling pressure-wise, because, you know, you've spoken before individually that you are kind of the leader of this team, both in because of your experience and as well the way that you've been playing. Do you feel pressure on your ability to individually carry these games today, especially given the stakes?
If the pressure's on me, I actually get nervous when there's pressure on others because I don't always know how they feel. When the pressure is more towards on myself, I feel a lot more comfortable because I'll prep throughout the week, and the more I prep, the more comfortable I feel. So usually in these situations, I'm actually a lot more comfortable than when I'm like more on a backseat role. So yeah, feeling pretty confident.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Katsuri, we won't keep you too much longer. You do have a series to head into, so thank you so much for joining us and good luck.
All right, thank you. See ya.
See ya. It's kind of a valid point that he's making, though. You know, if you're going into an exam and you know that you've done the research, the prep, and then you have to rely on other people to get a good grade, that you know, a little iffy. So hopefully he brings out those hyper carries, those 1v9s that you want to see skip, maybe something new. We do have our side select here, so both teams are opting for blue side in game number 1. Ground Zero going to be having that first pick, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a case of Smolder just has to be first phase banned, if there's going to be more champions on the list, or if they're going to like kind of just leave it open and go for the older meta picks and try and ban them out to see, you know, how comfortable they are and what could be new for this patch.
I feel like, if anything, it would be Grand Zero that I'd want to explore. I feel like there's, I don't know about GMAX, but it's like a sneaking suspicion I have from Direwolf, so it's almost a case of you don't want to explore too much now because you do need a 2 on everything, so it's either going to be comfort picks, or it's going to be the most meta, boring standard that's like, we can't screw this up because it's been played countless times globally. We know how this operates, so that's kind of the angle I think for Direwolf. I'd expect Grand Zero to be a little bit more creative and sort of explore options.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of what Katsuri was talking about, right? He said he went back to when they won. Unfortunately for them, that's only one game, so not much draft prep needing to be done there. But it did happen with that 1v9, with that support, double support combo coming through. So I think that, you know, Ground Zero, honestly, if we're going to see a Smolder in any lane except bot lane, I would anticipate it's Ground Zero. We already saw all the talk about that ADTF being flexed into both top and mid. I think that's definitely a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Don't forget, you guys in Twitch chat, you can have your say on predictions for this series. You can go ahead just over there near Max's head, and you can put in your Twitch points, use your channel points, and have a say of those predictions. We've all gone for 2-0 for Ground Zero. Max will blink at one time, I promise you. But I just got word, Champ Select is ready, so let's just have some League of Legends action.
Let's do it. It's time to see and really figure out, can Ground Zero lock themselves in for second place? In either end, it's like a case of, can the Direwolves actually keep the dream alive? Can they make playoffs? Well, first of all, they need to battle away this TF and Riven.
Honestly, Skimmy, it's kind of fun to see all these Riven bans we're seeing in this league, and now is at a point where at least 3 out of 8 of the top laners at the top of my head can pilot this champion. It's drawing respect bans even in the first phase. So Ground Zero really wanting to restrict that comfort, which Katsuri mentioned would be such an important factor, especially when the stakes are so high. But like you said, the Direwolves, they are targeting that ADTF, wanting to really pinch Lemus' champion pool. Keep in mind though that Ground Zero do have the blue side. They will have the first pick. And with both Varus and Ashe still on the cards, I would imagine they're looking to pick up one of those two.
You'd expect so, but I'd almost crack up if we do see Direwolves go for the Exodia of banning away the Varus as well, and then, you know, Lemus just a little cheeky smirk to himself saying, yep, it's time to play something different here. Lucian denied us. We talked at great lengths last night how proficient Katsuri is, but the counter to that was locking in a Talia, right? It made sure that the Lucian was nowhere near as desirable. Will we, in fact, get 4 AD carry bans? They're really thinking about this one. There it is! So surely now, this is the dream scenario.
Oh, TN, hey, that is my guy right there with the German hover, but Skimmy!
Yes!
We got Smolder!
Oh, it's a good time. It's a good time to be watching the LCO. We get to see what it looks like in this man's hands. I mean, he was feeling all lovey-dovey. He dropped an absolute nuke on Valentine's Day, and he's ready to do it on stage 2.
Now, Lemus, you can see that smile there. He's a reserved guy, but that is Lemus at about 90% happiness, I would say. Now, honestly, not many games being played globally have Smolder. It kind of has been a phase of testing the waters as to what this champion actually wants to pair up against in the bot lane. But you can see, taking that on the first pick leaves room for Ashe. This isn't something we've seen be super common from the Direwolves, right? Shinky in particular, you know, can have a wide variety of champions that he's willing to pull out. But the Karma locked in. That is a staple, particularly in Emphasis' hands in the mid lane. We saw how much work he could get done yesterday.
So he can, and it's far too early to guarantee that he's going to go into the bot lane. We certainly know that Emphasis is quite keen. He was definitely targeted a lot last night, right, with him being almost forced to play the Ahri in an unfavorable position. Went for the Syndra in the next game, but certainly loves to play the Karma when given an opportunity. And we've already said, Max, haven't we, that they've looked like a far better team when they've had that sort of double support online to be much more aggressive.
Yep, all about the Katsuri show, but trying to shut down the Katsuri show is going to be this Nocturne Orianna combo. So, I'm not sure if you've seen the Twitter clips, but basically this is almost an undodgeable combo when you have the Shockwave on top of a Nocturne who's dashing in with the Paranoia. You can precast it and just get that Shockwave onto the AD carry guaranteed. So, a very potent mid-jungle combo coming out here from Schönfire and Kisei.
We like to see that. We love the aggression that we get from Schönfire, who's always hunting for those first bloods, and a fantastic champion, which maybe won't go for that initial level 3 gank, but certainly is going to speed through the clear to get to level 6, but is going to get challenged by a Graves.
Yeah, Lisa on Graves here, we saw him kind of branch out into this carry role yesterday with the likes of the brand. Graves obviously a similar champion in the sense that he does value his camps and values his own personal gold over facilitating that of his laners. Obviously not going to have as fast of a clear speed and will be able to have a bit more of that early combat power. So already the Direwolves have drafted themselves a very nice early game composition, right? The Ashe often able to secure priority if she's paired with a pushing AD carry or support, depending on the role that it goes into. And Karma in the mid lane, fantastic pairing for Graves, able to shove, link up with him, and really empower him to help take over the jungle early on.
Which has always been an interesting consideration because Emphas at most of the times has needed a little bit of assistance from Lisa to try and get active and sort of be bailed out of some poor laning scenarios. So if he can certainly get a nice little shove going on and keep the Orianna at bay, then no doubt linking up with the Graves is going to make the life of Schönfire that much more difficult. Out goes the Bard ban, an absolute staple in the hands of Benvi. He loves that champion, but they've denied away 2 supports of their own. Yeah,
interesting here that Ground Zero are targeting the supports in the draft. They're kind of thinking that this Ashe is going to go over to Katsuri and they're wanting to play a double support comp. I mean, with the Graves locked in already, there certainly is a world in which you do have enough damage to be able to put that Ashe in the AD carry role. But I'm not sure that's what Katsuri wants to go with. He's hovering this Ezreal, which we did see yesterday be quite a menace in the hands of Violet. And it's going to be locked in. So double range in the bot lane. Basically, 4 range champions here for the Direwolves. A very hard to execute, high risk, high reward comp that they've gone with here.
All I can say, Max, is I'm very happy with how my interview went because I asked for these 2 champions and they both delivered. We didn't get the Jarvan though, which is really would have been the icing on the cake. But either way, I'm pretty stoked about this one. And let's see how Ground Zero decide to round things out. Currently, hovering Nudia. Seems like the top lane has almost fallen down a little bit in terms of, you know, once upon a time, which was Cassante Slam all day, every day. Doesn't really matter. But now it's TN's time to shine on the Bearman.
Well, I think that's one of the big reasons that top laners are heading towards this Udyr is Cassante can struggle a little bit in terms of getting kited. Yes, you do run the Ghost, but even then, against the likes of Ashe and Karma, it is a pretty tough affair. So I think you'd rather have the Udyr who has all this movement speed, all this survivability to just run amok and kind of just disrupt things as you're heading throughout that team fight. But the Direwolves, to round out this draft, they really do need that front line. That's exactly what River's going to provide here with that Sion pick.
Going to go for the Sion, make sure they got that strong engage option, and especially when you've got that Enchanted Crystal Arrow behind you, you've got the tank in the front line, the stun right afterwards, and then a ton of explosive damage to follow things up there from the side of Direwolves. As for Ground Zero, you already sort of mentioned it, this mid-jungle in particular certainly is the crux of this comp, all about that case of hitting level 6, turning the lights off, and getting that massive wombo combo, but the pairing in the bot lane with this newest champion, Smolder, is going to be the Nautilus. And I don't mind it because the champion is incredibly weak. Certainly needs a fair bit of babysitting in those early few levels.
Yeah, it does, and that's why I'm really wondering how it's going to perform against the Ashe Ezreal, which is a very potent lane bully combo, right? The Ashe support having so much range, going to be able to put a significant amount of poke into Lemus if he's not careful. And so it really is going to become a question of how fast can we get Schönfire down towards this bot lane, or can Benvi just find a random hook that turns the lane? Because for the side of Direwolves, yes, they have this priority early on, but it's also a very hard to execute composition, right? They have to make sure they're playing well, acknowledging the windows in which they have to play safe, or else if you fall behind on this double ranged bot lane, you are done for. So pressure is on for Direwolves. They must win these games if they want a chance to keep the destiny in their own hands.
Which is certainly a fairly tall order, given that they've got this many more games to still get through, and you cannot afford for any kind of mental tilt to come into effect here. Obviously up against one of the big dogs tonight. It's not going to be any easy challenge for them, but this is Katsuri's 3rd most played champion in his career. 22 games. Well, this will be his 23rd. And a chance to showcase just how strong it really is. But it is going into the latest addition to the game in that Smolder. A champion that we mentioned is incredibly exciting. It's all about getting 225 stacks, and then you get that mini Elder buff.
And it's looking like from the rune setup here that this Smolder is going to head towards the more stereotypical build, which is that kind of Essence Reaver, semi-like caster AD carry build, very similar to what Ezreal used to actually be picking up. As Direwolves will 5-man stack. Everyone is here besides for TN. You can see Sion. If you walk into a bush with that champion level 1, it is an absolute disaster. So he's going to go back up towards the top lane. Udia, we've already seen Panther in particular having some very creative level 1 plays to just harass the enemy jungler, steal some camps away, and make Lisa's life a living hell. And
I was just wondering if by Tien revealing himself, that was a conscious decision to try and psych Direwolves out and think, hey, they're all fanned out in a standard 5-man formation. But they're not going to bite the bullet. They're not going to get baited by that in this occasion. It is just going to be Rivet that's going to reveal himself by the wall that Tien planted, who's just going to try and zone him out. Eventually, the 4-mana Direwolves, their patience does pay off. They are going to go for their own. They are going to sweep in, clear out with their zombie wall placed as well. And these two in the top are going to have a bit of a biff as they both lose a fair chunk of their health.
Very smart level 1 play here from the Direwolves. They basically have the strongest level 1 champion that you could have in every single role, so they'll be leveraging that priority to allow Lisa to get this level 1 invade. Now, a map split certainly is a nice thing to have when you do have that double AD carry bot lane, because it allows you to play so much more aggressively. You don't really have to worry about anything with the enemy jungler coming down and disrupting you. That being said, though, Benvy's looking at Lisa on the Raptor camp. The hook does land.
What a hook. Read him like a book right there. Dashed right into it and forced to burn the flash away right afterwards. Tried to punish the fact that Shern, no doubt, wants to rush to level 6 as quickly as he can, but with a nice little rotation from Benvy, read it well.
He loses flash, but crucially, he still will be able to get a triple buff here, so it's not the worst thing at the end of the day. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we saw an earlier trade of summoner spells as well. The Ghost being burnt for Tien in favor of the flash for River, so a positive summoner spell trade there for the Udyr. And you can already see Tien is taking full advantage of just how strong this champion is at the early stages of the game.
Certainly is. Both going to have a big old crack at it as he's going to shove this wave in, utilizing the much stronger AoE farm at the very get-go. But no doubt River, if the trades work in his favor as well, can certainly look to try and answer back and even with his passive, take him down if it is going to be a crazy little tower dive to start things off with here. But to be expected in the spot lane, you would imagine that the Direwolves would reign supreme with their sort of early control, double-ranged, all that harass, Hail of Blades coming into effect. So it is going to be a case of Benvy biting the bullet, finding that right moment to hit the hook and guarantee the ignite.
But look at this red buff play here, Skimmy. You can see Tien has roamed down here. He might be walking into Lisa, who, keep in mind, has no flash.
Has no flash, but isn't going to be scared by this play. As Tien is forced to try and wrap around, but Kisei's here as well. Now, Emper's forced to flash already. Has been feared, has nothing left in the tank. He's just going to simply fall on down. And that is a classic Shernfire play. It could be a level 6 champion, but at level 3, he still gets first blood.
And how many times are teams going to get baited by low health Udyrs? You can see Tien there really playing with Lisa, saying that he wants Empress to come up and try to secure the kill, pops that double W and just walks out right away. And you can see Empress has to commit the flash as well, so that summoner spell being down creates another window of opportunity as the bot lane double sums out for Shinky.
Certainly are. Everything getting a little bit feisty right now as summoners really are becoming a bit of a necessity, really. There's so much aggression that can come out from these teams that Benvy, knowing that he's under all this ranged harass, doesn't really seem to care. They've got one target in mind, take down Limus. If we can't get him, go for Benvy instead. There's a lot of damage. They're going to go for the flash to try and get this kill in his face. With the last stretch of mana, Ketsuri's able to find Benvy.
The Ground Zero bot lane get a little bit baited by Shinky's low HP bar. All the while, Katsuri is hitting them. And this is an Ezreal with 5 stacks of his passive, all Conqueror as well, fully stacked up. He does a lot of damage in these extended fights. So, I mean, yes, they get the initial summoner spell trade effectively going in their favor, but it will be a kill onto Katsuri, the man who we highlighted. It was so important for Direwolves to get ahead. Picks up his first kill of the game.
Phenomenal start. Certainly what Ezreal likes to see, right? Get online as quickly as they can, spike, and make sure that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with once these mid-game skirmishes start to take place. Obviously, there's been a bit of a hampered effect, though, given the fact that both your mid and jungle have lost their flash and are now getting ganked again. Benvy once again on a fantastic roam, causing so much pressure.
And it's so hard now for Empress to play this lane. No flash, and you can see the Orianna level 6 will be coming through fairly soon as well. So a Shockwave is certainly a real threat that he has to look out for. And Benvy once again on this Nautilus. That Death Timer there affording him the window to look mid, poke his head in, and sure you don't get a kill, but that priority to secure in mid lane is going to enable Shernfire to head up here and grab these grubs. All three looking to go over uncontested.
Really can do as he please right now, Shernfire. Obviously so much AoE and sustain, so he makes a light work of all 3 camps. And we'll take that down in a heartbeat. Just affords so much protection for the likes of both Kisei and Tien to continue to play so aggressively, knowing that the jungler is not too far away. And soon to head over to level 6, as he has this blue buff right now, is going to take a chance to just utilize Kisei's pressure to say, I can just steal away these Raptors. And make life even more difficult as Kissa goes for the tempo ult. And Memphis, I mean, he got ganked before, he stuck around, he has no TP. He needs to get bailed out here by Lisa.
And what can Lisa really do, though, is Kisei is incredibly fast, has the phase rush and flash both available here, so likely we'll just proc those ones and walk out. Lisa just having to stare him down, and you can see how hard it is for this Graves to play. Graves is definitely not a champion who wants to play with his solo laners being shoved in. He needs to be aggressive, he needs to be pushing the pace, or else he's going to fall behind. And already you can see he's looking at this Raptor camp, but Benvy's read it once again. He's going to find him potentially. Play is called off in favor of heading back towards this bot lane. But looking at the jungle item skimming, you can see that Churnfire feeling pretty good right now, and Kisei has the wave permanently under that mid lane turret.
Certainly Siege as we transition back into the bot lane right now. Just out of range is Benvy from getting hit by that one, thankfully for his own health, but you can just see there is so much harass that makes life fairly difficult right now as Rivet somehow is so far past this tower. He's trying to shut down Tien. He hits the flash. He doesn't have that luxury, but he's got a ghost, so he is sprinting around this corner on the hunt in hot pursuit. And really, it feels like he is delaying the inevitable as the zombie form comes out, and he's got nothing to hit.
He creates some space with that flash, but ultimately, like you said, that ghost affording Tien way too much mobility. And crucially, Sion doesn't die in the wave, so he's not able to make any use of his passive. Just goes down there and funnels a bit more gold into Tien, who is working his way towards Leandres, but the paranoia's out bot lane.
It is, the lights go out, the target is found, and the kill is secured. Fantastic turn of events onto Shinky there. No chance to survive, no barrier utilized, and no pressure afforded to them. 8 minutes in, it's a 1k lead for Ground Zero.
Really nice advantage of the summoner spell gap there in the bot lane. You could see an Ashe without flash. We see her getting bullied basically every time that summoner spell's down. And that will afford a window here for Ground Zero to open up towards this bot lane. The only lane they didn't have full control over is now looking to be in good stead with Smolder steadily working on his stacks. Has those 43, so now has that access to a kind of AoE queue. As once again, top lane's trading, but you have to remember, any trade in the top lane, even if it's even, is losing if you're against the Nudir.
Yeah, it's a rough champion to deal with. It certainly does find a fair degree of success, be it trying to proxy the wave, which certainly looked like what River was trying to achieve. But the biggest sign of success for me would be the fact that Shern, his first ultimate, found that kill. He's 2-0, and now Kisei's looking to do the same. Drops that ult in the mid as Benvy flash passive hits him, and makes sure it's easy pickings for Kisei to get that kill too.
A nice little shockwave to start off the play there from Kisei. 20 CS up now on this Orianna, and a kill in his back pocket as well. So feeling very confident playing against this Karma, who can be so oppressive against some of these mages. Solo lanes once again. I mentioned it before broadcast. They've been such an issue for Direwolves. Really has felt like they've just lost the game from the laning phase. And it looks to be a very similar state right now as River's quite low. Does have the ulti, but Demolish is getting so much work done in this top lane. Yes, this is an Udyr into Sion matchup, but he's 2 levels up. He's 3 plates up, and he's dominating this lane.
He certainly is incredibly rich right now, will be Tien, and it might be a good performance for him to try and bounce back, right? In recent times, he certainly has been challenged. He no doubt has played it off in the interview, saying, well, it's relieving the pressure on the rest of my team elsewhere. I'm happy to soak it on up, but at the end of the day, it would no doubt feel really good to be powerful as the Udyr and to start things strong, which is what Direwolves are looking to try and do now in this bot lane as the hook goes out, but it's the interaction with Ezreal, which makes things quite nice. He jumps out of one thing, flashes out the other as Schönfei jumps in with the ultimate. He turns their attention on towards Shinky, who does have that flash available, but it's just not going to be enough. AoE ultimates galore getting flung left, right, and center, but no kill execute found just yet. Benvy locked underneath his tower. Stunned is Lisa, taking 3 turret shots. So he's dead. Kisei, no vision. Doesn't really matter. Shern gets the kill. The TP comes in late. And River's got nowhere to go.
A bit of a messy fight there from both sides. Schönfire commits very deep onto Katsuri, who does have the flash available, so he's able to create the distance and get away from that Nocturne. Ultimately, it is Kisei coming down, and it is a difference maker, and a TP just very questionable from River there. Gives up so much top lane, and the fight was already over when he cast that one, so going to be a very long walk of shame back up towards this lane. The turret's already dead.
Yeah, turret's gone, as if it wasn't rich enough for Tien beforehand, and he is simply living his best life right now. That top side of the Ground Zero comp is really holding things down, up by nearly 3,000 gold. And what, we're only 11 minutes in, 2 major items completed in a Hex Plate and the Leandries.
Leandres, so Tien's opting for this more damage-oriented route, wants to be able to actually kill River. And looking at this Silence itemization, right, he's building his way towards a Titanic Hydra, not the typical Hollow Radiance or Unending Despair that you are used to seeing come out first from this champion. So going to be a very damage-oriented top lane for what is typically, you know, just a tank 1v1. And 4 Void Grubs going over. But let's take a look at this fight before. So you can see the Paranoia is up and available. They want to use it. And with that hook onto Katsuri forcing out the E, Schönfire thinks that's the go button. Crucially, there is a flash to come out. But he chains nicely onto Shinky, so he ends up going down, but right away, he's back into it.
Forget that one. We're back in the mid lane again. Out goes the ultimates galore. I mean, it's just too easy, really, for Ground Zero. They hit level 6. Their ultimates are there. We're forcing a fight. We're getting a kill. And we're getting so much more. They dismantle a bot lane of Direwolves. And they're just finding so many tower plates.
Is that Smolder R meant to sound like that as well? I swear it's the loudest soundbite by far in the game when that plays.
Hey, at one stage, I will use one of their ability names. It'll sound cringe, but we'll
Next
we'll
time that ultimate comes out, I'm going to need you to say it, but you can see this bot lane will be the point of focus here for Ground Zero here. They've brought down Kisei, who is a very fed Orianna. And with the Dragon still available, not either team having gone and taken a single objective on that bottom side of the map so far. But it will just be these CS leads continuing to accrue in favor of Ground Zero. You can see the gold already 4,000 separating the teams here. And it begs the question, how are you going to get back into this? How are you pulling the trigger? Because outside of an Ash Arrow, you're going to really need to bring River down on this Silent to get plays. But at the moment, he's just forced to respond to whatever Tien wants to do.
Certainly is, and there's a big reason why he's forced to do that right now is because Tien has the most gold in the game. He's been farming up an absolute treat. No wonder he's gone towards that Leandrews because he wants to really push the tempo, especially with that Dark Seal in hand. He wants all that juicy AP to be a real menace in this game. But not far behind him will be Schönfire. The top 4 then, led by Ground Zero. And a promising start then for Lemus on a champion that needs time to come online. To be in that top 4 really does put them in good stead.
And that's the nice thing about having these solo laners who are winning so heavily, right? Because you can just kind of take a back seat as a Smolder, catch waves where you need to, and allow your fed members of the team to really dictate the pace for the rest of the game. And it's a 13-minute Dragon, but it will be picked up nonetheless by Ground Zero here. A Hextech Dragon, quite a nice one to have. As you can see, River going on a bit of a journey there on the bot side of the map, just trying to proxy or get away from Tien, who is so oppressive at this point in the game. But it will be the mid lane focus here. You can see that the Lucidity Boots being picked up for Schönfire means that this ultimate is going to have such a low cooldown combined with that Hex Plate. He's going to really be able to pull the trigger whenever he wants. And as we saw previously, even under your mid lane turret, you are not safe if you're the Direwolves.
Which is going to be brutal because if a play happens and you flash, then the second time it happens, it is a guaranteed kill at that point. And whilst you can make an argument that with Emphas picking up the Malignants, those Mantra E shields are going to be nice, it's probably not going to be enough. There is just too much damage at this point. Ground Zero have certainly found themselves a very prime position. There is that combo. It's as easy as that. They're cooking in the kitchen. They're getting it done.
It's nasty there. Yeah, you have a Malignance, but we have an Orianna Nocturne ult, and it's such a hard combo to dodge. Emphas has the flash. You can see the reaction speed that you need, especially when you're kind of blinded by the Paranoia as well. Is incredibly hard to deal with, but this is a long lane, Skimmy. There's no ult for River. I wouldn't be surprised if Tien wants to try to chase him down here.
Well, let's see. He's going to have a crack at things. Both, well, rather Tien having no summon available to him, but I don't think it's going to deter him from that position, as they are just going to have a slow biff down their HP bars. It's going to take a bit of time to really come to an end, as River is forced to flash. And realizing that I never win this trick. There's the ultimate, as Lemus screams out for his mum. And certainly needs it, because he's taking a fair bit of damage trying to defend this mid lane on his own.
That's the thing. He kills the wave, though, there. I liked... You kind of half said the name. I'll give you a pass on that one there. But nukes the wave there. Make sure that the Direwolves can't use this window where his teammates are getting back on the map to get any push onto that mid lane turret. You can see that Kisei has kept that turret almost completely pristine, losing basically 0 health there. And Liam is just holding down this mid wave, stacking up ever so slowly, but still stacking nonetheless. And really, once you are getting towards those break points, there's so much scaling on the side of Ground Zero when you consider the fact that Lemus already has 125 stacks.
He certainly does. Second evolution, that's when it gets exciting because you're now not too far away from that coveted 2-2-5 where that mini execute comes into play. And if you're strong by that point, then it is an absolute terror to try and deal with. You said already, with the Essence Reaver complete, you'd imagine they'd be working towards that Navori Quick Blades item as well. And by that point, the amount of ability haste you have, you really are a bit like an Ezreal, just shooting off spells left, right, and center.
I do wonder how the range will work and factor into the game as it goes on though, right? Because Ezreal obviously able to deal quite nicely with Smolder. That Q range isn't going to be able to be enough from Lemus if Katsuri is playing at his maximum range and throwing out those Qs. But right now, it really seems like Lemus can play at whatever range he wants. He has his teammates to back him up. And here's Schönfire with that Herald in the mid lane. You can see Kisei hovering in the area as well. To have that Shockwave Paranoia combo online, I think they're going to look for a second charge as well here, Skippy.
Would have put it past them. It's the 7-0 top side right now, so one tower falls on down, the second charge collides, and they don't have 5 stacks for the Void Grubs. But it doesn't really matter, because they summon an army of Void Mites when that Herald collapses, and that is a successful siege in the mid lane, which really they can't do much about Direwolves, because they had to respect the Wombo combo that Grand Zero have.
And look at their 4 members, right? Not a single one of them is anywhere close to being tanky. River, the only one who can actually stand and start that fight by running in. But it looks like they want to catch this Scion up towards the top lane. He has the ult, but there's 3 members of Grand Zero in the area.
Waited a fair bit of time to try and keep Direwolves guessing for the meantime. His old mate here, she's going to drift out inside their base. Pay a quick visit to Benvi, who says, what are you doing here? This is not where you belong. And he's going to go for the TP and say, you can't do much about this. Oh, can you? You burn the ult, you interrupt the TP, and now River is really confused. Where do I go now? Back to the base.
Look, if there's one character you don't want to stand next to and channel and teleport, it is the Nautilus. Basically, every single ability able to stop you, including his auto attacks there. So it will result in River going down. I guess a little saving grace there is the fact that he does manage to pick up a fair amount of that mid wave and top wave. Kind of a double proxy going on there. So as the Bouse would say, it's a good death. But now, you know, 6,000 gold is the lead in favor of Ground Zero. You can see the Navori Quick Blades coming online here for Lemus. And a death cap in the works for Kisei. So we're just moments away from a very strong spike out of these 2 carries for Ground Zero.
Certainly are, and that's going to be terrifying because the early and mid game have certainly been dominated by them. So if we do reach that late game position where you can start to bring into question some of those range mismatches, my biggest question is who's actually going to deal with these tanks on Ground Zero, because for Direwolves, you're really hoping that, you know, Lisa would have got a little bit further ahead. Anything on the Youmu's right now, not strong enough to really blast through anybody like, say, Tien, for example. A big backline TP coming in right now from that man. Tien now flanking on, the lights go out, they have no idea what to do. You're waiting for that shockwave, but it finds success, instantly removing Lisa from the fight. Right by the Dragon Pit is what they're going for, and it's looking like a whitewash here. Ground Zero have already found 2. They're hunting for more as Schönfire is limping away, but a Chew comes out. He sneezes on the clone of River, who becomes the zombie, sent back to the fountain, and all they lose is a Nautilus.
There it is. It's a nice little chase down from Direwolves to get the initial kill onto Benvi. But once the other members of Ground Zero show up, you can just see that this gold gap, this item gap, really starting to come into effect. The Shockwave Paranoia combo literally one-shots Lisa. As we can take a look again, Benvi just a little bit caught out here. The hook is kind of the go signal here because they realize that he can't turn around the play instantly. So Lisa feels confident going forwards here and does get the initial kill. But look at that damage. I mean, he actually just gets one shot.
He certainly does, and you were saying this is before death cap, so imagine what it's like after.
Yeah, completely just wash after this fight. You can see Tien just unkillable. Even in the face of Katsuri and Empress, they don't have anywhere near enough damage to be able to take this Udyr down. And that will result in a nice little dragon take off the back end. But here's Shinky.
They want Lemus. Can they find it? Well, certainly they're going to go and try and find it in there. Occasion right inside the bush goes Lemus, even with the lights out. He has one target in mind, dashing back across, hunting for Benfi, and a double is found by the Graves. The TP is not enough. Schönfire is going to be rooted by the Karma W. And it's a triple for Lisa right as the Baron spawns.
Yeah, the Baron spawning right now, and there is no Shockwave in the hands of Orianna. No TP on Tien as well, so this could have been the turning point for the Direwolves. They're burning it down quite quickly. They have all this Graves damage. What can Kisei do to try to stop this?
Can he defend in this 1v4? They're down 7,000 gold, the Direwolves, but this Baron is taking an age to fall on down. River might just die as he receives the shield. The Baron has to be reset. Tien is already here with the Ghost and the Blast Code, and considering, would I dare engage the 1v4 Dreams? But decides to show a little bit of discipline.
That could have been disastrous for Ground Zero here. You can see how this play unfolds from the start. Shinky just catching out Lemus on the back end of that play, and Lisa dashing over that wall, taking down this Smolder. And then really, where is your damage to actually be able to kill this Graves? Lisa running unchecked in this fight. And the TP in from Empress to secure the 3rd kill. Despite the flash coming through, it's a very nice 3 kills picked up for the Direwolves.
Certainly is. It's a good start, but they certainly need a few more situations like that to be presented to themselves that they can take full effect in, because as I mentioned before, already down so much gold. You can see just how hard it is to try and pick apart anybody. The bounties, they are certainly starting to add up, be it objective and champions. And still, with a few more to be acquired in both the Orianna and the Udyr, there is gold on the table. Well, speaking of that then, as a result, Lisa does creep his way into that top 4 discussion, the most fed member now on the Direwolves. Not a bad place to be for the Graves. You certainly want to be aggressive, as you mentioned, but with the collector picked up, he's starting to hope that they can find a few more.
Where is River going? It feels like every time we pan to his ultimate, he's going for a bit of a journey, but really, like you said, it is going to be on Lisa now. With all the gold, he has managed to pick up that collector and Youmuu's, but here comes the paranoia.
The ult goes out, the killer's there, and it's just a little bit too easy. You just don't have any time to respond, especially as an immobile champion like Ashe.
And that was only the paranoia needing to be committed there, so still a lot of tools if Ground Zero did want to turn. And it looks like the Baron will be in their sights now. They've brought TN up, and there's no Scion ult from River, so without that Ashe arrow coming through, without that Scion, you really are losing out on a lot of engaged tools, but Kisei's looking for a pick.
You are expecting that Kisei would look to try and entertain the idea of a zoning shockwave, if not a one-shot potential. Hook goes out as the Hex Flash across the wall comes into effect. It's completely zoned is this Baron. It's a gone, done deal. Picked up here by Ground Zero.
What can you even do here as Lisa will get hooked and just wiped off the face of the map there with that shockwave. You can see this Orianna is just so threatening. Not a single member from Direwolves is able to actually walk up and face check that Baron because they're scared of taking the shockwave. And you can see right there what that'll do as mid lane Benvy's been caught.
They go for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but instantly the turnaround is phenomenal from Ground Zero. They say, how dare you try and do a play like that? We have so much more damage than you. And also, we have very tanky members. Nobody falling from the side of Ground Zero. River went for the split push tactic, and that has backfired as well. And now this Baron Siege is guaranteeing that at least they take the mid and hip.
River gets his TP cancelled there. You could see Tien was hunting for him, which stopped that play from coming through in the mid lane. But even now with Direwolves trying to pull the trigger, they don't have the damage to be able to get through even Benvy on this Nautilus. And like you said, it will be the inhibitors in their sight now. They do have the shockwave. Still on cooldown for the time being, but will be up very shortly. So they're looking to crack this one while the death times are still on for the Direwolves.
They certainly are. 228 stacks now does Limas have, so those champions get low enough. You can see Lisa with that little Elder Execute frame. That's what you're hoping for right now, that these fights get close enough that he can literally just burn them all alive. But right now he's going to keep into consideration that Katsuri is still incredibly strong. As instantly a double is found there by Kisei. In drives River, but it looks to be a little bit too late as he flashes on top of Benvy's head. He receives the shield from the Orianna. He's got his own passive shield from his W, and he's going to try and run away from that clone of a side. Inside the base is Emphis, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I deal with Tien? Do I deal with these minions? What is the bigger factor right now? As Direwolves members are scattered and Ground Zero just re-enter the base.
I'm flagging that one as the early play of the day there as Schönfire pops the paranoia here. Gets on towards Katsuri.
Katsuri, can he get one? Yes! It makes it a 1-4, and it's a silver lining for what has been a fairly one-sided affair here. Tien still with the perfect KDA, sitting 4-0-3. He's immune. He is literally immune to all the damage that 3 members of Direwolves are threatening him with. He looks at Lisa. Lisa falls over. The execute coming there from that scorching breath of the Smolder. It proves to be far too strong as he calls for his mummy again. And they say it's time to go to game 2 as they smash it in 25 minutes.
They're busting out the new picks from Ground Zero, but some things never change, and that is their winning ways. Just cleaning up Direwolves in a super easy and super dominant match in game 1.
So it was a very dominant match. All the kills, all the glory, all the success with that really simple to execute comp. Yes, a little bit of spice with some brand new picks, but overall, a very one-sided affair. It is a dicey situation now for the Direwolves. Let's see what they can do in game number 2.